Another geopolitical analysis video. Today we're going to talk about TLT and interest rates and why you should never underestimate the long-term bonds of the US. They're the ones that have the biggest depth in terms of capital. I know there's a lot of narrative that people across the world, governments I should say, are selling long treasuries because of what Trump is doing, what the US is doing, but it's a lot of talk, and indicators are showing that there's a lot of money that is being poured into the bonds whenever we have a drop. Okay, you never want to buy when things are in the high. You want to buy when things are low, when they're underappreciated, when there's shat on, and when people are not projecting high value in them. And this is what I'm going to dive into. So let's look at the interest rates. For months now, okay, for nearly 2 months, I should say, we're stuck in this range that I told you even before we got there in my previous videos back in November and October, that this is the golden range. This is the golden ratio here that we're stuck in, the Fibonacci 0.618. And until we take out these highs, we cannot assume that interest rates are going to go much higher just because we are told by foreign media and by the whole trade deficit that is going on, where countries are now looking to dump US treasuries because of what's going on, because of the tariffs, etc., etc. The US still remains the biggest consumer in the West, and no country or EU is going to drop trades or going to disregard treasuries because of that. So let's look at the interest rates. Yes, the interest rates right now have been stuck. We see whenever there's a breakout, though, ladies and gentlemen, there is an indication of heavy selling. TLT, few days ago, beautiful, moved up. If you were playing this with options, you would have gained an easy 10%. Okay, whenever we see that prices dip into new lows, there's huge pressure to come in. And like I've told you before, if we compare the SPY, let me do this chart with you guys, so bear with me. Whenever we do SPY with, let's say, TLT, okay, let's do this again, SPY, TLT, okay. Whenever we see this correlation here, it gives us a really significant position to take in the TLT. And what do I mean is that whenever we see that we are in the higher prices of the stock market and we're in the lower prices of the TLT, we see these bounces and we see these huge breakouts towards the upside. We're now at close to all-time highs, and it's showing us that we might have few percentage gain ahead of us. And TLT is right now forming this very long trend line down of support in areas that we were some time ago. Now that means that TLT is very cheap in comparison to the stock market. The stock market might have another 10 or 20% to go, but I'm telling you that at some point when the correction, just like in April 2025, happens, you're going to see a 50% increase in TLT. It's going to happen, guys. And if you're playing this with long-term options, this is where you should be starting to accumulate. That is why I'm not out of my asymmetric trade that I've discussed with you with TLT. And this is why I'm still bullish. I don't think that we need to disregard TLT based on some of the increases in rates. And remember, just because we're seeing pressure because of foreign policy doesn't mean that the US is going to allow its bonds to be devaluated so much. Okay, we will have the Fed step in if there's a stock market correction, cutting very heavily. That will create the buoyancy in the long-term treasuries, and a lot of pension funds and other hedge funds are buying into treasuries as certain governments are selling off. Okay, this is the deepest in liquidity market in the world. It's not going to be destroyed over one night because of foreign policy. We have more momentum pushing for treasuries than we have in the stock market. The stock market has been going up, but the economy at some point is reaching that level where not only the K-shaped economy as we know it right now is being fueled, but the claims of jobs, the unemployment that will increase and spike will add a lot of pressure in order for rates to drop in the short term and long term. I'm very still bullish with TLT. I think this is one of the best times throughout history. Whenever stocks are in this phase of the bubble mania, TLT treasuries do very, very well. So hang in there. Long-term options, accumulate. Don't go heavy in. And like I've told you, this is the best time to be a trader and not a long-term investor because nothing right now is certain. If we look at the metals are expensive. If you think you want to pile into gold right now, gold at 5,000 to me is where I see a temporary top. Silver, same as the 100, I see a temporary top here. We have gone parabolic, and the same perception and sentiment that you saw in crypto is coming into these metals, indicating that we might be near a top. Okay, if you want to chase these higher prices, go. But the risk here, as opposed to buying into TLT, is just night and day. So either you buy something cheap and you accumulate in order to take advantage of those 10, 20, or even 40, 50% bounces, or you start accumulating at the expensive stock market and the metals. So yeah, the choice is yours. Thanks so much, guys. Hope you guys like, subscribe, and comment the video below. Awesome. See you guys.